What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially here. The Week 1 preview of the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be in Arrowhead. I'm telling you what, this is going to be an absolute amazing duel. I think that there are so many good matchups in this. We're going to break a lot of this stuff down. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts. I'm going to give you a final score prediction and really some key things to pay attention to as we get through this game. I will be in attendance with a lot of people who cover this from Kansas City. And so I'm super excited for this opportunity to be a part of this. It's just going to be an incredible experience. You know, this is going to be the first time full capacity fans back after the pandemic. I expect this place to absolutely be rocking and shaking. So super pumped about that. Ready to start talking about really kind of what to look at. In all honesty, this is we faced them in the playoffs. We did. We faced them in the playoffs. It was a tough game. Mahomes goes down. Originally thought it was like a concussion. So there were a lot of things. And it really came down to the last play. I mean, let's be honest. That quick slant route from Tyreek Hill, from Chad Henne, it was incredible. He sits down, and that was the ball game. So super excited to kind of talk about this because I think the matchup is good. I do think both teams have gotten better in certain facets for sure. And so we're going to talk about that. So I want to kind of compare positions first. Obviously, first up is going to be the quarterback position. You have Baker Mayfield for the Cleveland Browns, and you have Patrick Mahomes. I think that one's very simple. I think that's an easy, when you're talking about who probably is going to have a better game, I would have to go with Patrick Mahomes. I think he is very hyped for this game. I think he's staged ready for this game. He had to exit early, like I stated earlier. So I really, truly believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to have a game, and I expect him to. There's always that rivalry even before they got to the NFL where Baker Mayfield was at Oklahoma and Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech. And they just had one of the most insane, games in college from the quarterback position. Their history goes back much further than just the NFL. So I do expect Mahomes to step up in that facet, obviously. Then we're going to go to the running back position. I would expect Clyde to really have a game. I think that he is healthy. He comes out yesterday, states that he's healthy, ready to go, ready to roll. And then obviously Jerick McKinnon and Darrell Williams there backing him up. I think the running game is going to be something that I want to see the Kansas City Chiefs establish and definitely get going. I want to see Clyde get going to start the season off right. And I hopefully they can do that behind this revamped offensive line. But we know that the Cleveland Browns have a tremendous duo there, and it's incredible that they were able to get that done. Nick Chubb, obviously, a ground and pound, very good running back, downhill running back. And then you have Kareem Hunt, literally the Swiss Army knife of running backs, has the ability to catch out of the backfield, can run the football, very shifty, does not go down very easy. When he was in Kansas City, he fumbled the first game, and then honestly, I can't remember the last time he fumbled a football. So very, very good running back group there with Cleveland. I would have to go ahead and give it to them just because I think that they're going to try to establish the run game as well. And then that's going to allow them to start spreading the football around, kind of take some of the pressure off of Baker Mayfield, especially with the crowd being in the game. And I do expect that. And then now we're going to jump into the receiver position, and that kind of goes along with what I was going to say. So I'm going to dive right into the Cleveland Browns. Getting Odell Beckham Jr. back. And I think low-key, he's kind of floating under some people's radar. They're not necessarily forgetting about him, but they're just kind of, you forget what you have sometimes. And I think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be able to provide a tremendous uplift for this Cleveland Browns offense. Kind of assisting with Jarvis Landry. Austin Hooper is still there. And so I really think that his presence is going to be able to help out. They still have Rashard Higgins. They have David Njoku. And so I think that there's a lot that really to kind of pay attention to when it comes to this receiver group. But then obviously you flip to the other side, and this is what's going to be interesting. I was kind of trying to pay attention to who the Cleveland Browns announced for their defensive backs, because this will translate into what I'm talking about with the receivers from the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, just an amazing, amazing receiver, easily top 5 in the NFL. I would put him up there in the top 3 for sure. And who is going to cover Tyreek Hill? And the reason I ask that is because then you have to consider, are they going to double down on Tyreek, which opens up the middle of the field, and then that allows Travis Kelsey to eat? Are we going to see one of the players that we hope to expect to step up, like Mecole Hardman? Are we going to see Demarcus Robinson start to catch some balls? Maybe we see our Fountain absolutely just start to shred, like we hope that and we expect him to. So there's so many things that I think this receiving core can honestly do. Just from a name perspective, obviously it has to go to the Cleveland Browns. I think Odell is going to really show out and have to come out and have a game. But from I think just overall, I have to go with the Kansas City Chiefs on this one, just because I think that they are going to really solidify and show out when it comes to passing the football. I think that they're ready, and I think they have something to prove as well. I truly believe that the Kansas City Chiefs receiving core has a chip on their shoulder. I think that they really want to come out and just dominate a football game and show, really kind of set the tone from the get-go. Game number 1, this is what we have. This is what we're going to do, and I expect them to dominate. Now, transitioning to the tight ends, Travis Kelsey, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, let's just be honest. Travis Kelsey is amazing at what he does. Number 87 will go down into the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the position. I expect him to have a tremendous, tremendous game. They do have some pretty good tight ends on the other side, but nothing that's even comparable to what Travis Kelsey is going to do, let alone the four-headed monster. We heard that they came out with a name for it, and there's a chance we could see 4 tight ends on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs at some point. They drafted Noah Gray. They finally added Jody Fortson to the roster. They re-signed Blake Bell. Like, this is going to be a special offense, and those guys are as much a part of it as anybody else. So super, super excited about that. Finally going to wrap out the offensive line. I do believe both sides have gotten a lot better. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs completely revamped their offensive line, and I think that's what's going to be really the game changer going throughout the whole season. And I think it's just not necessarily that they revamped the offensive line. I think the biggest thing to remember is that they created depth. They go out and sign Kyle Long. They make multiple draft picks. We're seeing 3 rookies starting on the right side, including the center. So you got Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and then Lucas Niang, who is officially going to start his first year, actually playing football. He was with the team, but this is his first year due to the pandemic. So that's going to be incredible. Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown. I mean, this is going to be an incredible offensive line. We're truly going to see it in all 4 quarters of the game, and I think that's what's going to be significant and something to really pay attention to. Now, I think the Cleveland Browns have a pretty solid offensive line. Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, those 2 guys are on the right side of the football. You have J.C. Treader as your center. And then Joel Botanino, I think is how you say his name, and Jedrick Willis. I mean, Jedrick Willis is a monster. So there really is some pretty good, and there's a veteran presence there. That's the big thing, is there's a veteran presence on that offensive line, and you want a good offensive line, especially if you want to run the football. And so I expect them to try to establish that, like I stated previously, especially with this offensive line and with their running game. So flipping over to the defense, and this is going to be a battle, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want to, underestimate this defense for the Cleveland Browns. Coming out, when I first saw the schedule, I'm not going to lie, I think this game is going to be a challenge. I think it's a good test right out the gate for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you're facing one of the best pass rushers in all of the NFL in Myles Garrett, and that's going to be a true test for Orlando Brown. I mean, we've seen it before because obviously Orlando Brown's coming to us from the Baltimore Ravens. That is the same division as the Cleveland Browns, but it's going to be a true test. And we always heard Orlando Brown says nobody's touching Patrick Mahomes. So you're getting pretty much the best of the best right out the gate. And then obviously Malik Jackson, incredible defensive tackle. Andrew Billings, Jadeveon Clowney, obviously, a lot of people consider him a bust. He is coming over from the Titans, I believe. He's kind of had some years. He left the Texans, really kind of that pair to J.J. Watt. Really never panned out. He had that one flash in the pan, South Carolina smacking the Michigan, and it's like since then, it just hasn't been the greatest thing for Jadeveon Clowney. This is a way to revamp his career and maybe earn something, but the defensive line for them is still pretty solid. Their will linebacker is going to be Mack Wilson, a great linebacker from Alabama. This is one player that I honestly was hoping that the Kansas City Chiefs would have been able to find a way to draft, I believe, last year. I was a big fan of Mack Wilson. I think he has a lot of presence there, and he actually is taking over for the one that was talking smack on Travis Kelsey a little bit, and that is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah coming from Notre Dame. So he's going to be interesting to see how they interchange both those two, especially with Jeremiah saying he's going to help cover Travis Kelsey. But big fan of Mack Wilson. Anthony Walker coming over from the Colts, just an absolute dominant force there at the Mike linebacker, backed up by Malcolm Smith. I really do like this linebacking group because then on top of that, you have the Sam Backer and Taki. And I really think that there is a good presence there in the linebacker. I think there's some depth there, but I really like what they have and what they've built up. Now, this secondary for them has increased tremendously. When you've had years and years of first-round picks, you've made trades to get first-round picks and second-round picks and things like that, you're eventually going to start hitting on players, and it seems like they really hit on the secondary quite a bit. Denzel Ward is actually going to start at left corner over Troy Hill, who they went and signed in free agency from the Los Angeles Rams. Greg Newsome is going to be a starter. They announced that today, so he did actually take over Greedy Williams. Again, another pick that was at the top, and that's incredible to see. Like this secondary, once they start to click and really can develop some cohesion, it's going to be incredible because Ronnie Harrison is the strong safety and their free safety. John Johnson, another coming over from the Los Angeles Rams. This secondary is going to be good. But the thing is are they going to be able to cover the likes of Tyreek Hill? Are they going to be able to do what they need to do when it comes to putting press and really putting on the pressure to this offensive or the receivers of the Kansas City Chiefs? So it's going to be interesting, but I do like what the Cleveland Browns have assembled, and I do believe that this is a playoff team again. So flipping over to the Kansas City Chiefs defense, starting up on the defensive line, I mean, holy smokes, revamped. In my opinion, it's revamped because you're kicking Chris Jones out a lot more to the defensive end spot. Frank Clark, what is he going to be able to provide? We really haven't seen a whole lot from him in the preseason, which is interesting. We know he's had some off-field issues, so it'll be interesting to see how he's incorporated and if he's really got that motor and is ready to show out. But then, Reed obviously signing in the offseason, a lot of these young up-and-coming players like Ward, not Ward, Wharton and Mike Dana and guys like that are really starting to step up. Derek Notty's coming back. Kalen Saunders showing out and actually looking like a force. I mean, I think that this front seven is going to be able to provide something. Obviously, Willie Gay's out with an injury at the linebacker position, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's handled because Ben Neiman's going to be expected to do a little bit more, I believe. And then I think also you're going to see the rookie who we drafted in Nick Bolton. So, Hitchens, the leader of the linebacker core. So I think you're going to start to see some things. But what I'm most excited for is to see how our corners handle literally some of the best receivers in this game. And this is definitely a true test with the first game. Odell Beckham, obviously, coming back, looking fresh, running very crisp routes, breaking off on good routes, absolutely doing good things, coming back from his ACL injury, I believe. I don't know if it was more than that. It might have just been the ACL, but very good route running. Jarvis Landry, another one. And then obviously Rashard Higgins, and they have a few other guys. Peoples Jones, I believe, is there. So they really do have some players that can do some good things. So our corners, really kind of reassembling that cornerback room with, is L'Jarius Sneed going to be able to ball out like we expect him to? And then Javarius Ward and Mike Hughes and Rashard Fenton and, you know, all those guys. So we expect them to really kind of step up and play very good coverage. Deandre Baker is one that I'm going to pay attention to a lot because I'm interested to see what his role is actually going to be, just because I would assume that we're going to run a decent amount of nickel just because of the fact that, you know, my guess is that because of the situation with Willie Gay being out, we do like to run two linebacker sets, obviously the sub package. And so I could imagine that we're going to see a decent amount of nickel, which then I believe you're going to add that extra corner. Is that going to be Baker? Is that going to be Hughes? Because you expect Ward to be on the outside, you expect Snead to be on the outside. So how is that going to interchange and things like that? So that's one of the spots that I'm really going to be paying attention to, especially with this receiving group being so good. So really kind of breaking down the offense and the defense. The final thing is obviously special teams. I expect the Kansas City Chiefs to really have a good special teams. I expect our kickers to do what they're supposed to do, the punters, obviously. And I expect I just have this feeling that our special teams is going to stand out this game. I think it's going to have to. You're going to have to pin them down into the the end zone. You're going to have to be able to execute on punts, and you're definitely going to have to make your field goals and extra points because I think this could be one of those games. I truly believe it could be one of those games. And so yeah, that's kind of my breakdown for this game. The first game preview, obviously the head coaching. It's just going to be interesting to see how this game continues to evolve, especially who takes the lead first, and things like that. I just think there's so much to pay attention to in this first game that I'm beyond excited. So my score prediction is going to be 32-28 Kansas City. I do think that it's going to be close. And the reason is just because it's the first game. You're getting a lot of jitters out of the way. I think that there's going to be a lot of things going on, and I expect, honestly, both teams to have really good football games. I think that there's just a lot of good on both sides, and I wouldn't be surprised if I expect both these teams to meet up again at some point down in the playoffs. So, but that is my prediction. That is the breakdown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any comments that you want to leave down below, let me know, because I'm excited to really talk about this. I think this is going to be a great matchup, especially for week one. It's going to be a later game than normal. Usually the Kansas City Chiefs play at noon Central time. I believe this is a kickoff of 3:25. So it's going to be an afternoon game. And so something to pay attention to for sure. I think there's quite a few games that are pretty good matchups this weekend. So definitely interested. Appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you smash that like button. Again, make sure you guys are commenting because it helps out tremendously. It truly does. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you checking out the Beat of KC. As always, have a good day.